Hi everybody, I'm gonna be making my perfect 5-star homemade chili. Now it is chilly here in Texas where we're at, and it may be snowing where you are. But regardless, this chili is delicious anytime. And I'm gonna show you how I make it step by step. So let's get started. To make my chili, I'm gonna be grinding my own beef. I've got a 3-pound chuck roast right here, but you can use store-bought ground beef if you like. I just like the flavor of freshly ground pot roast, okay? Now this is 3 pounds, and I'm gonna cut it up into strips before I grind it. It'll be easier this way. I went ahead and put this into the freezer, and it's nice and firm, and I put it in there about 45 minutes because it's easier to cut and grind when it's nice and firm. So I'm gonna cut it into strips. Oh, and before I get started, I wanted to show you my new knives. See, you're the first that's gonna get to see these, see? Now this right here is a Zwilling. It's a German knife, see? And it's a chef's knife, and it's an 8-inch. And this one right here is a Wusthof, and it's from Germany too, and it's a 6-inch, see? So today's the first day that I'm gonna get to use them. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut my meat into strips, okay? Like this. Now, if you see a big chunk of fat like this, you can go ahead and remove that. We don't need that much fat in here. And that's it. So now that I have my meat cut into strips like this, I'm gonna take it over to the grinding machine. Now I'm gonna be using my stand-up mixer to grind my beef. And I have attached my meat grinder, and I'm gonna be using the coarse plate. These little holes are a little bigger than the other one. Now the other little plate that I have would give you like the texture of ground beef that you buy at the grocery store. And this one will give you a chunkier piece of meat. And it's nice and ground through here. And what we call a chili grind. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. Now you wanna be real careful with this. You don't wanna stick your fingers in there. So I'm just gonna push it in like this. See? And we'll do a little bit at a time. Now this is the end of it. See? I put it all in there. So I'm gonna wait until it throws it all out. And I think that's it. Now look at this. See how beautiful this is? Nice and chunky, just the way we want it. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up my area, and then we're gonna head to the stove. Now I've got my heat set on medium high, and I've got 2 skillets right here because I'm gonna sear my beef first before I make my chili. So these are nice and hot. I'm gonna add a little bit of bacon grease in each one, just like this, see? And I'm gonna add my beef. Now I like to sear it first because I want that caramelization first before I put it into the pot and make my chili. And I don't like to overcrowd it because then it'll steam, and I don't like the way the texture of the meat is when it's steamed. So you want to give it a little bit of space like this. And the flavor of the bacon grease in here, it's just an added plus. And that's good, just like that. I'm gonna add some pepper. And some salt. And that's good, just like that. Now I'm gonna give it a minute or so before I stir it over to the other side. So now I'm gonna toss it around so that I can sear the other side. Just do the best you can. See? It's got that beautiful golden brown, and it smells delicious. Now I'm gonna add a little pepper to this side. And a little salt. just like that. So I've gotten a beautiful sear here, as you can see, and I have removed some of the grease that it has released, and I'm gonna dump it into this bowl. See? Now I'm gonna do the same with this. And I'm gonna continue the process until I'm done with all of it. Look at this. See? Now I'm gonna go ahead and set this aside. I'm gonna clean up my area and get started with our chili. So I've got my heat set on medium. Now that I have my meat nice and seared and I have set it aside, I'm gonna start out on the next step. Now in this deep Dutch oven, I'm gonna add a little more of the bacon grease in here. See? And I'm gonna add my onions. You always wanna start out with your onions first. I like to start out with the onions first and by themselves. I don't like to add anything else in here because I don't want them to get steamy. I want them to get nice and translucent, but I like them in here by themselves, just like this. If I put the peppers and all tomatoes and all that in here, they will release a lot of liquid and I don't get my onions to sizzle like this. So that's why I like to do the onions first. So I'm just gonna move them around just for a little bit like this until they get slightly translucent and they release their flavor. So now that my onions are slightly translucent, all by themselves, I'm gonna add my yellow bell pepper. And I'm gonna add my green bell pepper. Now if you don't wanna use green bell pepper, you can use Anaheim. You can use any pepper that you want. I like the combination of the green and the yellow in here. It's just the perfect flavor in the chili. Now I'm gonna add my chili powder. This is Gebhardt's chili powder, and this is a chili powder that I like. Now I like to add it at this point because I want it to get a little toasty. And I add my ancho chili right here. But you can use any chili powder that you want to use. I'm going to move it around so it can get a little toasty, but you don't want to burn it. And I've got smoked paprika. Ooh, that's going to taste so delicious in here. Now I'm just going to stir it around for a little bit so that they can get a little toasty at the bottom and release their flavor really, really nice like this. See? Now we won't leave it in here too long, but you want to constantly be moving it around because you don't want it to burn. So now that they have gotten a little toasty and it smells wonderful in here, I'm gonna add my tomatoes. These are freshly diced tomatoes. Now these tomatoes are gonna start releasing some liquid, and that's good. See? Now this is freshly ground cumin. And I like it freshly ground because it just gives it a totally different flavor than the store-bought ground cumin. But you can use that one too. I've got some garlic powder. I've got some onion powder. See? The flavors are all coming in together slowly. And that's what it takes to make the best chili. Everything step by step. I'm gonna give this about 30 seconds. About 30 seconds, and everything has come in together beautifully. Look at that. So now I'm gonna add my oregano. Like that. I'm gonna add my tomato paste. That'll add a little sweetness, and it'll be richer. I'm gonna add my brown sugar. That's going to balance out all the spices in here. I'm gonna add my Worcestershire sauce. I'm gonna add my pepper. And I'm gonna stir it around. I'm gonna give it about 30 seconds. So it's been about 30 seconds. Now I'm gonna add my beef bouillon. Now you can use the beef better than bouillon if you'd like, but I like the flavor of the Knorr beef bouillon better than that one. So that's why I'm using it. I've got 2 tablespoons of maseca. Now this is corn flour. I'm gonna add 1/4 of a cup of water. And I'm gonna mix it in together really good like this, because this is gonna be our thickening agent. And it's also gonna balance out the spices really nice and also gives it a delicious flavor. I'm gonna add it in here. See? Just like that. Now if you don't wanna use maseca, you can use cornstarch, or when you're searing your meat, you can use a little bit of flour. Those are some options. Now I'm gonna add all my meat in here. We don't want any of it left behind, see? And I'm gonna stir it together like this. See how it's a little thick? Now I'm gonna add my beef broth. Now you wanna add it at the end because you don't wanna get it too soupy, but you're gonna add as much as you want. If you want it soupier, you add more. If you want it thicker, you add less. So I'm gonna start out with about 1 cup. See? Because you can always add a little more, but if you put it all in at one time and it's too soupy, you can't take it out. Just want for you to see it, how it looks with 1 cup. See? Now I'm gonna add the other cup. Ooh, look at how beautiful this looks. So now that I've added my salt, I'm gonna add my garlic, because I almost forgot it. See? I have freshly ground garlic right here in my molcajete. I like it better than minced garlic, because it has a little bit more of the intense flavor that I like. And I'm gonna add 2 jalapenos in here, see? Just like that. Now you can add any heat that you want. You can use cayenne pepper, you can use pepper flakes, you can put serrano peppers in here, you can use chipotle peppers, just whatever kind of heat that you like. I am going to be serving this to some friends, and I don't want it to be too hot, so I'd rather have jalapenos set on the side, but this adds just a little bit of the flavor that my Ron likes. So now that I have my jalapenos in here, I'm gonna taste it. Want to make sure that it has just enough salt. Oh my goodness, that is absolutely delicious, just like that. So I'm going to replace my lid, lower the temperature to medium low, and I'm going to let it cook like that for 1.5 hours. So I'll see you then. So I just turned off my timer. It's exactly 1.5 hours. And our chili looks beautiful. See? So now that our chili has been cooking for 1.5 hours, it's time to add our beans. I'm gonna be adding 2 cans of light red kidney beans. You can add any kind of beans that you like. I already drained them, and I'm gonna put them into my pot. Now these are 16-ounce cans. Okay, so now that I brought it all in together like this, I'm gonna go ahead and taste it. This would be a good time for you to taste it so you can adjust it. But I know mine is perfect because the amounts I put in here are always the same for me. Oh man, it is absolutely delicious. I'm gonna replace the lid, and I'm gonna let it simmer like that on low for about 20 minutes. See? Ooh, and the jalapenos. My Ron is gonna love those. So now I'm gonna serve my bowl right here. See? Ooh, yummy. See? So now I'm gonna show you how I like to top this chili. Ooh, my chili looks delicious and it smells wonderful. So these are my toppings. I've got some pico de gallo here. It's just cold and delicious. And I've got some freshly grated Colby Jack cheese. You can use any kind of cheese that you like, but I love Colby Jack cheese. And I've got some cold sour cream. And I made some cornbread with some jalapeno slices on top. Now, if your guests don't like jalapenos or don't like the heat, they can always remove the jalapeno slice. But if they like it, they get a little bit of the heat too, you see? And it's a little bit of the both worlds, and that's good. So I'm gonna put some of my cheese up here. And since the chili is so hot, this cheese is gonna melt beautifully. See, just like that. Now I'm gonna put some of my pico de gallo. Now these toppings are meant to complement and to highlight your bowl of chili, see? But you can use any kind of topping that you like. Now I'm gonna put my sour cream right there, just like that. Now my cornbread, I'm gonna break it up and just crumble it in here like this. This is the way I like it. See? Just like that. See? So I like to get a little bit of the pico de gallo, a little bit of the sour cream, a little bit of the cheese, and the cornbread. Oh my goodness. Absolutely heavenly. And it's perfect for this type of weather. So this is my perfect 5-star homemade chili. If you like my video, give me a thumbs up. Send me a comment and tell me what you think. Thank you.